Hello guys, welcome to my channel. So this video is really interesting, and this is the part 2 of our MERN Redux application. This is the full stack application, but here we're going to work with the client side. Today's our main work is to install React app with Redux template and set up our project structure and how the pages component will look like, and the Redux store, which is very important. I'm going to show you the best practices how you can do it very easily with the documentation as well, so that you can understand it much better. So before that, just our number 3 is set up RTK query API endpoints. So we need to have some endpoints in RTK query setup so that we can fetch data, add data, delete data, all of those things. Okay, we need to make this endpoints in order to fetch data in this particular part, and we're going to show all the information that would be fetching from the RTK query into a React homepage. Okay, and then we in the final stage we're going to implement the Tailwind integration in React. Okay, so let's do this. We are working with MERN card project. Okay, and here as you can see our backend is done. In our previous video I have worked with the backend. If we go to my channel, I work with the backend of this MERN project, but this is for the client side. I highly suggest you to watch this video, JavaScript logic building with map, filter, reduce, find and includes. So those will really help you to understand JavaScript logics and how we can build something using those functions. Okay, and I also highly suggest you to learn anything related to RTK query and Redux. As you can see, RTK query we have implemented the pagination, search feature, manual cache update, which is very important. If you want to know really in depth, I told everything in those videos, really important. And this video is all about learning on project base. I already have the code on GitHub. As you can see, React card project Redux toolkit. As you can see, we have all the setup that you need, pages, features, all the thing is added here. As you can see, these are all the code that you need to work on. Okay, I'll give you all the samples code and all the UI logics there. You can really see those and use in your application as well. So now this is our backend. As you can see, we have a backend. Now we need to create our client. So we're gonna write npx react app. So we're gonna work with npx create react app, which will create a React app, and we need to give it a folder name. We're gonna call it client. Okay, so let me create a React application for you. So by this time we're gonna work with our React Redux. This is the library you're gonna use. Okay, because Redux thank is not needed, as we're gonna implement all of the data fetching using the RTK query. So this is the part which will help you to connect our React application with the Redux, and it will give you a provider so that we can wrap every data in the store that we currently have in the Redux store into our application so that we can consume it. Okay, as you can see, we're gonna use the latest RTK query to fetch our data, and this is all the API endpoints. As you can see, get Pokemon by name, and you will give in the endpoint, you will give a particular name which will give you fetch. As you can see, the name use get Pokemon by name query. Okay, so you're going to export it and use it in our front end part. Okay, so this will really help you to get the data from the API. All the API work is on the features folder in RTK query part. You don't need to work with any other thing, and all the code is there. As you can see, we have API folder in the features, cart, products and wishlist. Those are each module. Finally, our React application is installed. Now we can install our library. Okay, so as you can see, this runs perfectly, and also we don't need app.test or logo, any of those things. So before I do that, let me install the library first. Cd client into our client application, and here we're going to install Redux toolkit, npm install Redux toolkit. Also we need React Redux, which is the wrapper between React and Redux, and also we need React router DOM to work with different kind of pages so that we can navigate between one page to another page. So that's why we need, for navigation purpose or routing purpose, we need this package. This is a very important package. Okay, so all of the packages are installed. Let me go to package.json, and here let me see, we have the Redux toolkit, React DOM, React Redux, which we installed, React router DOM also installed. So a lot of things we have installed, so I think it should work just fine. So let me check if it is working or not. So we need to write npm start. So as you can see, our React application installed successfully, localhost 3000, and the React application runs on localhost 3000. It works without any issues. Now we need to delete some unnecessary file, which is app.test.js and setup.test.js, logo and index.js. So those are the 4 files we don't need. Okay, so there is some error we need to fix. This is our backend, this is our client. In the app.js, we can remove everything, and we can remove the logo as well. So let's test. Okay, cannot resolve .index.css in source. Okay, we need to go to index.css, and here we need to remove this CSS file because we already removed those things. We don't need that. And now it should work. And to check it, and here it works. Here it works. Let me check. Okay, it works. So as you can see, I have a suggestion. So for suggestion, you can use tab 9. You can use this thing. This is a tab 9 AI autocomplete for JavaScript application. Also, I have installed the React ES7, ES6 Redux, React Redux snippets. This is also very important, and also simple React snippets. All of those things are very important to understand. And what it does, it will give you awesome thing. If I go to source and create a new folder, and here components, and here we need to create one more folder, and which is for pages. And in the pages, I'm going to create homepage.jsx. And here, if you write RAFCE and press enter, it will give you an awesome arrow function syntax. Okay, you will also have the code to export default homepage, because we are exporting it because we're going to import it into app.js. So that's why it's important. Okay, so let me show you how we can import it. Here we're going to import homepage. As you can see, tab 9 works really well in the JS environment because it will give you a suggestion. As you can see, it automatically gives suggestions. As you can see, if you write tab, it will give you a div. So it works really fine. If you just see that and reload this application, and say you have to save this, definitely save this, and as you can see, we have the home page. So it is connected successfully. But this is not the way. You in the app.js, you need to have a routing system. So you have to delete everything. Here what you can write, import browser router switch and route from React router.com. But we don't have switch here. We have to use routes. Okay, this should work. Let me check React router.com version 6. Okay, it should work. We need to have a routing setup, and here in the return, we're gonna use this router and wrap everything around it. In the router, we're gonna write routes. Previously it was switch, but now it is route. And in the route, you need to, as you can see, it is suggesting you need to write route. Inside the routes, we need to write route and give you a path. This is the home page path, and element should be home page. Okay, this is the home page. And you can create others, route, and here you're gonna give a path to /add product. Okay, so add product is also very important if you want to add product from your main web application. And also element, we're gonna pass add. Okay, we need to create one more page for add product, and this should be uppercase add and product.jsx. Okay, RAFCE to create our folder structure, and in the app.js we need to import that add product. Okay, this should reload that, and make sure you add it single colon. Okay, this should definitely work. Okay, and then we need to create one more pages for the cart. Okay, we can just write it here, and it be cards page, and here we need to go to pages and new file. Here we need to go cart page.jsx. Okay, RFCE, and in the app.js this should be called as cart page. Nice. And we need to have one more page for wishlist content. Let me build this as well. Wishlist, and here we need to create one more page for wish list. Here we'll have all the wishlist content. Okay, here you can just write wish list. I think I have to save that. Okay, now it should work. should write wish list. Okay, so as you can see, we have imported add product page from the pages, add product, cart page, which page, all of the thing, and the home page as well, and all the route coming from the React Router DOM package. Let me save everything and let me check it works or not. Yes, it works. Mainly these are the pages, and in the component we need some component, and first component should be product card.jsx, and then we need to have cart.jsx, and then we need, for wish list, we need wish.jsx. so we have mainly 3 card here. Okay, and we also need one more pages for detail page, which I'm gonna do upcoming series. Okay, so which I'm gonna do in the upcoming video, where I'm gonna work with the add product and get the product by its ID using the RTK query and from the backend. Okay, so today's part is already about the Redux setup, and here we need to create in the source we have to create one more folder. I'm gonna name it as features, and also we need to call a new folder called app, and here I'm gonna call store.js. we need to create our store. So how can we create our store? So before store, we're gonna create our slices. First is API folder, and then we need to create a products folder. We need to create cards folder for cart system implementation, and these are all the Redux part, Redux toolkit and React RTK query part. And we're gonna need one more for the wishlist module. Okay, so those are modular way to do that. In the API, I'm just call it root API.js. Okay, so we need to work with the store root API, and also in the products we need to work with products API.js. this is to fetch something from the database, and this is the part I'm going to work with the RTK query. And also we need one more for the slice.js. Okay, so this is the way you need to do it for cart as well and all of the thing, but cart is for the another video. So today we're going to work with the product section only. Okay, on the root API and store.js. so we need to save everything. So we need to create our store so that we can make our store. So we need to go to the configure store. Okay, in the configure store, so first we need to work with the product slice. Okay, so in the product slice you can just copy something. You can import create slice from Redux toolkit, and you need to write export const product. It's not product controller, it should be product slice is equals to create slice. Okay, in the create slice, here in the property we'll have a name. This is the property, and we're gonna call it products. Okay, we're gonna name it products, and we need to have initial state. And initial state, you can copy this from here from the docs, and you don't need to pass any value, just keep it empty. Okay, so this should be our initial state. And then we need to have our reducers, where we'll have all of our functionalities. Okay, if you want to write any functionality like add product, remove product, as you can see, you can add those things. Okay, so this is a very simple way, but we are not implementing anything, we just keep it empty. We don't have to do any other logical work inside this product slice part. Okay, we just need to build it. And then the most important part, we need to export it. Okay, export default and a product slice dot reducer. So this is the part we need to export. And now we need to build our store. So how can we build our store? So we need to go to our app store.js. Here you're going to import configure store from Redux toolkit. We need to just call configure store. So this is the official and the latest way to do you configure your store in the Redux toolkit. Very simple. And we're going to write export const store is equals to configure store. You just call this thing, and inside that we're going to have a lot of property that we can use. We can just call it reducer. Okay, simple. And this is the thing that we're gonna use. Okay. And we should use this configured store into our application on the index.js. Okay, so this app, as you can see, this is actually running our application. We need to wrap everything with the provider. So we're gonna name it provider. We need to import provider. Okay, import provider from React Redux. Okay, from React Redux. And also you need to import store from store. Okay, so these are the two things we need. And here in the provider, you just name it provider, and within the provider we need to just pass our application. And here in the store we need to just call it store. So we are passing our main store here, and as you can see, this is the store. Okay, so there is some error here. .store. In the reducer, you can just call it products. You can just it products slice. We have to import that now. Import product slice. Okay, and we can use this thing, product slice. Okay, so this is the product slice we have implemented. I think it should work now. Store, import store from store. I think this should work. Okay, so it should be ./app/store, and now it works fine. As you can see, now it works. So there is a very simple logic we can do to make it work. There is no issues whatsoever. Now we need to work with our products API dot reducer. So this is the main part of our application. Okay, so now we're gonna implement the RTK query part. As you can see, create API with the documentation. So for that we need to go to our products API, and here this is the part is the most important, and here we're going to implement the RTK query endpoints. Okay, so this part is very important. Let me show you. The first one is create API. We need to import it. Import create API from Redux toolkit /query/react for React application. And here you just need to call create API, which will give you an API endpoints to work with. Okay, so if we go to create API functionality, as you can see, it gives you all the things that you need. And here you can write export const products API is equals to create API, and it will give you all the things that you need. In the create API function, as you can see, if you hover over it, as you can see, it will give you all the endpoints you need, like API to fetch something, add something, delete something, update something from the database, and give you URL and endpoints, whatever you need. And first one is the reducer path, and the reducer path should be API. Okay, you can give it any name. Okay, in the later part you can understand it much better, because now I'm just showing you all the features. It will have a reducer path property, which you can call it products API or API, whichever you need. Then we need a base query, and you need to import it. And how we can import it? We can import it from this fetch base query, and here we're gonna write it base query. Base query is equals to fetch base query, and we're gonna give it a base URL, and it should be localhost 5000 /API/products. Okay, API/products. This should be our main endpoint or base URL. Okay, and you can just give it tag types of product, or you can keep it empty. It's completely up to you. And our endpoint should be builder, and keep it empty, because we're going to work with it more modular way in the later part. and all the code I have written here, I'll just copy it and paste it inside our features folder. In the features root API, I'm going to paste it because this will work as our base API. All the functionality I want to implement on the endpoints I should have is on the other page in the products API, and this should call as root API so that you can understand it much better. Our root API should be only in one place, and we can integrate our products API here. Okay, and here we don't need to write anything, and here we will write export const products API product API. We're gonna call root API dot inject endpoints. Here we can inject all our endpoints. So here in the endpoints, and this is a builder pattern. Okay, here I'm gonna call it fetch all products in the builder.query. Okay, so this is a query way, and for if you want to add it, it should be mutation. Okay, and this should be the query. So in fetch all product function, you need to just pass the query system. In the query, as you can see, we have a query, and the query is query function. If you want to work with the Firebase, you need to use query function, but if you want to use normal query, you can use it. And it gives a lot of things, root, args, all of the things. You don't need anything like that. As you can see, this is the way you will give your endpoints. Query, and if you want to pass any parameter, you just pass parameters and give your endpoints. And here you will give your endpoints. And our endpoints is /all products. So let me check our backend. So in this case, our backend routes file really help you. So if we go to the product routes.js, as you can see, this is our main backend, get all products, and it will fetch all the product from your database, as you can see, from the MongoDB. So these are the endpoints you're gonna need here in features file or the features folder. If you go to the products API, you just need to pass that thing. Okay, get all products. You don't need to have a base URL because base URL is also included in the root API.js. Very clear. Here it will create a main API for you. You don't need to write create API inside products. You just give all the endpoints that you need. All the endpoints. Okay. You don't need to write anything. And you have already given the endpoints here. So if I go to the backend and go to our main server.js, as you can see, our main root URL is API/products. Okay. So this is the main part. So in features folder in the root API, I have added all the thing. You don't need to write it again and again. That's why I have make it modular. So that's why the code is very important and structured, and so RTK query and Redux toolkit is organized such a way that you can understand it much better very easily, and you can work with it perfectly. Get all the products. And also very simply, you can also just write another function here. If you write Ctrl+P, you can have extra function that you can add a provide stack query function. You can do invalidate tags, lot of things. Okay, so you have a lot of features there, and I'm going to show you the manual cache update in this series as well. I hope you will understand it much better. Okay, get all products. So now what you need to do, you need to export const. You need to export it from the products API. Product. You need to just export use fetch all products query. As you can see, whichever name you give to fetch the product, you can name it get the product, that it will say use get all the products. If you write it fetch all the product, it will write use fetch all the products query. Okay, so this is how well organized it is. It is really awesome. Suppose if you write an endpoint here for another purpose, I'm just name it add product. Okay, and here in case of query, you're going to write it mutation, and in the query you will pass some other parameter, not this. Here you will pass method is equals to post, and URL you will just pass add product inside this. Then it would be a little bit different. Just look at it. For fetching, you just need to write arrow function, and in the arrow function it just give you the endpoint. But for mutation, in the arrow function, in the body, okay, as you can see within this first bracket and second bracket, in the body we need to pass the method. Which method? It is a post method, definitely for add, and for the URL you will pass this, and this is very mandatory. If you just go to our backend code here and go to product routes, and as you can see, add product, so this is the thing that we need to pass there. So into go to products API, and this is the route or URL you're gonna hit, and the method should be post. And similarly for deleting also, for updating also, it should be mutation, and you can give any name. And then we need to just call it use add. As you can see, for add it is mutation, it is not query, so the naming is different. For add you need to write builder.mutation, for query you need to write builder.query. So these are the part is very important to understand. Okay, now we need to go to the store and configure our store properly, and here I'm gonna work with the reducer path. Okay, we're gonna reducer name should be root API dot reducer. Okay, root API dot reducer, it should be our main name. And then products is actually the product slice that we have created. This is the same slice that we initiated here. Okay, and in the root API we just name the reducer path is equals to API, so this is the name that we're going to use in the store. Okay, in the reducer name it should be root API dot this one. Then we also need one more thing, which is middleware. Here another property is the middleware, and middleware will call get default middleware, and get default middleware dot concatenate with our root API dot middleware. Okay, so let me check what it gives. As you can see, it gives thunk is equals to true, immutable check is equals to true, and serializable check is equals to true, because we are not using Redux thunk to fetch anything from the database, because for normal Redux application you need the thunk installed so that we can work with the API call, but here we don't need that. It is concatenating our own root API reducer, root API reducer with its default reducer, so we don't need to work anything. As you can see, if I hover over it, root API, it gives fetch base query. Okay, in the middle, as you can see, it gives you all the thing. App.js is store.js. Also, as you can see in the reducer, products API dot reducer path, it should be root API dot reducer path. Okay, it should be root API dot reducer path. So the setup is a little bit of hectic, but I think you guys can understand it much better. So we in the use selector we just call it products. It will give you all the products information. If you go to the cart, it will give you all the cart information. So you just need to write this thing, products API dot reducer instead of root API. Okay, so it should be products API dot reducer, not root. So this is my mistake. This should be products API. Okay, and this should be products API because we are working with the products API main, this API file, products API, so we need to work with this. So into the store.js we need to just call it. Okay, and this should be also products API dot middleware. So it is concatenating our own created products API middleware with the default middleware that Redux toolkit has. Okay, now we don't need thunk any other stuff to work with it, and you will feel really hassle free, because RTK query setup is really simple, and Redux toolkit is really simple to set up. Okay, within the configure store you just pass your reducer, and products API that we have created, as you can see, just call its reducer path and give its reducer name, and just call it reducer products and product slice for slicing, so this purpose. Okay, in the products slice.js we don't need anything, because we're not working any logical operations, so we don't need that as well. And all of the root API work is done, products part is done. Now it's time to call it. Okay, and store.setup is also done. So now it's time to work with our calling. Okay, so in the home page we need to call everything. So how can we do that? Here we just pages, and here in the homepage.jsx. So I have given you on the UI all the UI code, because it takes a lot of time to make the UI and it will make the video too much long. Okay, so here you can just pass this UI in the home page, and you can delete all the stuff, and we're gonna map it and show it into our card application. Get the data from our Redux. So how can we go to that? Get the data from Redux toolkit RTK query. So how can you do that? We can just call it data property, and data here will have all of our products. Okay, and we're gonna use fetch all products query. We're gonna call use fetch all products query. If we go to features and products API, as you can see, this is the thing we're calling, use fetch all products query, and this will magically get all the data from your backend using these endpoints. Okay, and same for adding, you need to add in this URL, you need to pass some data. Okay, here suppose I write it data for adding, and in the body you need to pass all this data, and this data would be coming from the client side. Whichever the user gives, which information user gives, this would be stored into this database. Okay, into the add product. So all the thing is done perfectly without any issues, and for adding and also fetching is done. Then we'll only have to fetch by its ID, which in the next video I'm going to work with this thing properly. But this video is all about the setup, and because setup is really complicated for the beginners. Okay, so you need to practice a lot and read the documentation a lot to understand it more properly. And also you can watch my video tutorial how you can work with it side by side and do mistakes, and if you make mistakes you will understand it much better. Okay, and if you go to our app.js here and the home page, and in the home we are passing all of the things. If it doesn't work, use this sign. Okay, and this will reduce a lot of error. You can find error much better. And this also have is loading, and we'll have is loading, is error. You will have all those property also here. Products card, and the product card, let me go to our events, and here we need to call it product card RAFCE, and here we need to pass all this information called product. Okay, we need to go to our home page now, and here we'll pass everything. It should be product card. Okay, and here we're gonna pass all of this information, and make sure you check if the products dot length is greater than 0. Okay, if the products length is greater than 0, if we have some product in our database, then it will show all of them. And use phase all products query is not defined. Okay, let me check it. Why it's not defined? Use fetch all products query. Okay, you should import it from the products API folder first, and now it will work. Pass the product, and make sure in the home page you will have a key product.id, because in the MongoDB the ID unique ID is _ID, and you're going to pass this product, and we pass this product, and you will get this information. It should be const, this should be title, description, price, and we have an image as well. Okay, so these are the property, title, and we should have a category as well. Okay, so these are the 5 or 6 property that should have. If you don't find anything, make sure you have an empty object. Just object destructuring from the product object, we are just getting the title, image, category, description, price, and we need to just show it into that. And if I show it here, H1, you are just showing the title, and this should be title. So let me check if it works or not. Okay, so if you go to React application, inspect, console. Okay, and that was a silly mistake, guys. So we need to go to our backend. And we just run our server, npm run dev, which will run our server, and all of our data is inside the MongoDB. Definitely we need to check it using the MongoDB Compass application. So our Node.js server is running now, and we can check MERN card project and connect it, and you will definitely see that there is some data there. Yeah, so in the network access setting you have to do add IP address, and in add IP address you need to click allow access from anywhere. If you don't do this, you can't access this information from the database. So you need to access list entry to 0.0.0/0. So this is very important. So add IP access list entry if you want to work with the React application or any front-end library. If you want to access the data from the database, you need to add this thing and press confirm. You want to connect it. Okay, now I have connected. If we go to database and in the taste, as you can see, we have all the products collections. As you can see, title, image, name, price, all of the stuffs. Okay, so these are really beautiful thing. Now you can just clear all of this out. Now I think it should work. And npm run dev again to write. So the problem was use base fetch query. I didn't add a function here. You need to call it, otherwise it will never gonna work. And here you're gonna have is error, is loading state. If is loading, you just write it's loading, and definitely you can add those stuffs. Okay, so if any error, you can show error in the error page. You can do a lot of stuffs there. It's completely up to you. You can add a different kind of functionality, but this video is only about how you set up everything and get the data from your API. So this is very simple, just one line of code, getting all the data from the API using the fetch all products query that is becoming from your products API, this fetch all products endpoint. So we are calling on the endpoint and we are exporting it from the API, and we are just using it into our home page or the UI component. So this is how the layer works in RTK query. You just make all of the API in one endpoints, and this is only for products. If you have an endpoint for cart, you can use it. If you have an endpoint for blog, you can use it. If you have an endpoint for wishlist page, you can use it. You can any places you can use it, but only for the slicing you don't need to do anything. You just name it initial state, give it a user, and keep it empty. And you must have to export it so that you can store it into a restore.js. As you can see, product slice. And only thing you need is products API.reducer path that will work, and the middleware, so that we can work with it. If you hover over it, as you can see, it gives us fetch all products, add products. Those are the API are the middlewares. So that's why you don't need Redux thunk here. I also logged it out so that you can check. As you can see, we see all the information is coming from our database and also from the database. As you can see, all the title are same name. That's why you don't understand it, but I will just name it a different thing, or price. I think price should be different. As you can see, they are different price, but you will have to have a good UI. So for that, you can use this thing, and this components, I have the UI set up for the card, product card, and these are all the thing. And also you need to install this icon. For this icon, I'm going to work with it later, but today I will just show you how to add it. Later I'm going to work with the asset management and all other stuffs. In the div, I'll just copy the whole div here. Just copy the whole div and paste it, and this link are not necessary at this moment. Okay, and this button to add card, this functionality, we're gonna add it later. And to add from wishlist, I'm gonna add this functionality later. Okay, and we need those icons, otherwise it won't work. So if you just remove those things at this moment, and let me check how it looks. And okay, heart icon is not defined, so we need to import some packages here. So we need to install those packages: SVG core, free SVG icon, React font awesome. So these are the libraries that we need. So here we need to, this is our main application. Here we need to install those. So our first one is npm a React font awesome. This is the library we have used for any image. Okay, so that we can use our font awesome, React font awesome images in our application. So it is a very small package. You can install it and use it very easily. Then we need free solid SVG icons. Then we need font awesome SVG core. So these are the three things we have to use. So then we can copy font awesome icon, npm this one, and finally we need to use this one. So this is SVG icon, so we need to install this core. then we do npm I this. So this video is a little bit of long, but I guess you can understand it, how all the thing is working behind it, and how RTK query uses a lot of amazing stuff in the backend so that you can fetch everything properly and invalidate cache. A lot of the thing you can understand in the later part of the video as well. And also in the assets, in the images, we need to have something. In the source, we need to have folder called assets. Here we'll have our images, and what you can do, you can just open in new window. I can open this previous card project, card of Redux, and here in all the assets, these are the thing that we need. Okay, just copy this thing and paste into our application. Okay, now it is pasted. You can use those things. And let me copy some other stuffs there. Get this GitHub code. Obviously there is no problem whatsoever. And if I go to components and products, here you'll see all the stuffs. You just need to copy this thing, all the stuffs, okay, and paste it into our main application. Here we can paste it, asset, images, and all the icons, and here you just uncomment it. Okay, we have our price here, okay, and dynamic price. We have a dynamic title and dynamic images and categories. So we need to run our server, npm start. You can see all the thing is working properly, all the data is coming properly, but we need to work with our Tailwind CSS. Okay, so if you want to work with the Tailwind, you need to write Tailwind in React. Okay, so install Tailwind CSS in React. So these are the steps that you need to do. Just copy npm install -d Tailwind CSS post CSS auto prefixer, and you just need to paste it here. Okay, I'm just pasting npm install -d Tailwind CSS auto prefixer. So this will help you to install Tailwind CSS in your React application. And npx Tailwind init, and we need to have a configuration file as well. So it is done. Then we need this npm Tailwind CSS init -p. It will create a configuration file, as you can see, Tailwind configuration file. And in the configuration file, you need to do something. In the content, you need to paste this code. In the content folder, just paste in the source, because it should go into the source directory. Let me find it. In the source directory, it should go to any file that contains JS, JSX, TypeScript, or TypeScript XML. Okay, this is the important thing that we have at JSX, which is JavaScript XML JSX for the React. And we need to go to index.css and paste this thing, Tailwind base component and utilities, and index.css. Here I think we should go to app.css. Here in the app.css, remove everything, just paste those out. Okay, just paste this and configuration, and now let me check if it is working or not. So npm start. So as you can see, it is working without any issues, and it is also very responsive as well. As you can see, it's responsive. It is showing 2 grid and 3 grid, 3 column grid, 2 column grid, and 1 column grid. So this is how you just install a Tailwind in your applications. So that's 2 lines of code, and just install this, add this in your index.css or app.css. These are the 3 lines that we need. Okay, and your React setup is done. So I guess you understand the workflow. Okay, so I think this will really help you to understand what we are doing. Use this one, copy image address, and you can directly paste it into this one. Definitely edit documents in this MongoDB Compass. directly, because we didn't add any edit functionality, so that's why you can do that right here. Paste the link here and press enter and update. I think now it should work. And if I go to see my application, refresh it, nice, beautiful. If you add all the image link here, it will look really nice. Okay, so I think you guys need to understand a little bit how this is working a lot. And this is all the dynamic. As you can see, price is different, image is different. Now if I just inspect and just go to our console doc, you'll see all the information. And if I go to Redux, as you can see, it is configured. This is the API. This naming convention is coming from our if I just go to our source app store root API, as you can see, our reducer path name is coming from this API, and this is our base URL, so that we don't need to consume it again and again inside our products API. We just call our own endpoints regarding these products. If you have thousands of module system for wish list, you will just make a product system for wish list and just call all those endpoints here. You don't need to just work with this again and again. So as you can see, if I just go and see, as you can see, it is pending, and then when it is successful, it says fulfilled. If you just hover over it and expand it in the API, we have the queries, and the queries we have fetch all products queries, because this is a query system. So it will call, this is all by default, and if the status, it will say if the status is fulfilled, you do something, and then call something, it will have a request ID, and this is the data that we're getting from our database. As you can see, ID, images, title, price, category, description, all of the thing. And it is not mutation, that's why we are not adding anything into the database, so we're just fetching, that's why it is not mutation. But in the next video, we're gonna see the mutation as well. Refetch on focus, refetch on connect, reducer path name is API, and keep unused data for 60 seconds or anything you can see. So these are all the part of our system. And if you just write it refetch on reconnect, if your network connection and reconnects again, you just fetch all the data. So in those purpose also you can use those things. Refetch, force reset, and invalidate tags. We're gonna understand all of those things again. Okay, so keep unused data for how many seconds? Okay, 10 seconds. Keep unused data for 30 seconds or 10 seconds. Okay, so if I just run it again, and in the network tab, as you can see, get all products, it will keep all of your data into the cache for this second, this amount of second. You can name it for 30 seconds or 40 seconds based on it. Okay, and also we have one more thing. If you go to our home page, if I home pages, in here you can call it refetch. Okay, refetch on what? You just make a button here. Suppose you make a simple button, load data. Okay, so if you have load more data, you on click here, on click you will make a handler to load more. Okay, so in load more, so const load more, you will just write it refetch. Okay, so when you click on this, it will refetch. Button type, and this should be button. Okay, so let me check it again. If I have, this is a button. If I go to console.log, okay, now we have two data. If we load data, as you can see, it is loading more data. It is loading more. So if you have a certain situation where you need to fetch data based on some user clicks, then you can do this. Okay, load more. So this is for the refetch functionality. So I'm just deleting it. It is just to show you how it is working. We don't need this stuff. Okay, so this is the clean code that's possible. So Redux Toolkit has an RTK. This is actually RTK query feature. It has an amazing feature that you can use. So they are amazing. Okay, so I hope you guys a lot of things from this video and understand a lot of concept definitely. So till then, take care, bye bye. See you in the next video with more awesome and beautiful concept in the near future. So till then, and I'm gonna see you in the next part.